evening, this is News Mongolia. I'm Satlangkhort in the MNB World studio. For our top stories. This year marks the 60th anniversary of Mongolia's accession to the UN. President U.Khurelsukh presents letters of credence to Mongolia's new ambassadors. COVID-19, 1,131 new cases confirmed on Monday with 14 fatalities. For other news, stay tuned. This year marks the 60th anniversary of Mongolia's accession to the United Nations. On the occasion of the anniversary, several activities will be held over the next 7 days. On Monday, a press conference on 7 days for the UN was held at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Mongolia.
Mongolia joined the United Nations on October 27th of 1961, becoming the 101st member. Mongolia had applied to join the United Nations 5 times starting in 1946, and in 1961 the Mongolian flag was finally hosted at the UN headquarters in New York City. The Minister of Foreign Affairs is planning a number of activities to celebrate the 60th anniversary and to promote the importance of joining the United Nations to the public, including children and youth.
In the press conference, the State Secretary mentioned that we have a whole week long of events planned for the special 60th anniversary of Mongolia joining the United Nations. We are launching this with planting 2,500 trees on Bayanzurg mountain, which is a ecologically challenged area. We are trying to plant that all together with all UN colleagues. So that's the first one. We're also launching the event of the UN conference, Model UN conference, focusing on climate change with children in the National University of Mongolia. We have a book exhibition, we have a photo album exhibition, we have events that we are also launching here on 27th, which is the grand finale with with the cooperation of the Ministry for Foreign Affairs. So all these events that we are doing is just to symbolize the fact that Mongolia has achieved a lot in the last 60 years together with the United Nations.
Over the past 5 decades, the relationship between the UN and Mongolia has matured into a strong and mutually beneficial partnership. The UN in Mongolia consists of 11 agencies that contribute to development across various sectors, from democratic governance and human rights to socio-economic development, climate change adaptation, and protecting the environment. The UN team supports the country in achieving the United Nations 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. Mongolia is an active member of the UN, and Mongolian soldiers actively participate in United Nations peacekeeping operations.
But there is a long way forward. As I mentioned, the Sustainable Development Goals, the 60 years has been great, but next 8 years that we have by 2030 would be a very crucial moment to move towards inclusive and sustainable development.
Mongolia is an active member of the United Nations. Our country is a leader on certain issues. For example, Mongolia is very active in the activities for landlocked developing countries. As a result of many years of hard work done by diplomats, an intergovernmental research center for landlocked countries was established in Ulaanbaatar. Moreover, Mongolia works actively in many other areas, including issues facing rural girls, women's education, and democracy.
In small countries like Mongolia, international organizations such as the United Nations play a pivotal role in protecting the nation's interests through political and diplomatic means, communicating their prospects and position on global issues, as well as making progress on their development path.
These days, 90% of all new coronavirus cases are reported as Delta variants. As of Monday, around 1,000 new cases were confirmed using PCR tests, which are considered as the only valid results.
At Monday's press briefing, the Ministry of Health announced an additional 1,131 coronavirus cases were reported using PCR testing. The ministry also reported 14 more coronavirus deaths. Currently, the state tally has reached around 330,000 cases with more than 1,400 deaths. The capital city of Ulaanbaatar is regularly having the highest number of COVID-19 cases, which is over 700 on Monday. Hospitals informed us that 50% of the total hospitalized patients are displaying mild symptoms, but around 2% or 397 patients are in critical condition that requires intensive care and treatment. While the coronavirus spread is showing no real signs of abating, government officials announced that there will be no lockdowns or any partial restrictions. Public events are no longer prohibited. Adapting to COVID-19 lifestyle and individual self-protection is becoming the natural response to the coronavirus pandemic nationwide. At this time of the year, the regular flu season is occurring at the same time as the coronavirus spreads. People who are suffering from a cough are having a hard time to determine if it's the flu or COVID-19. Some hospitals are delivering services to differentiate between the two. Some people who they tend to become asymptomatic COVID-19 carriers are being told to recover at home. Due to the limited number of hospital beds, most coronavirus patients with mild symptoms are treating themselves at home under the guidance of their neighborhood hospitals. According to the Johns Hopkins University, the global number of COVID-19 cases is at around 240 million at present. The number of fatalities has exceeded 4 million.
Thank you for staying with us. Now let's take a look at Mongolia's current affairs.
President of Mongolia, U.Khurelsukh, presented letters of credence to Mongolia's newly appointed foreign ambassadors on Friday. The president instructed the new ambassadors to further expand Mongolia's foreign relations in the economic sector to promote the country to pay special attention to protecting the interests of Mongolians living abroad and to explore opportunities for cooperation in the fields of environmental protection and combating desertification. The new ambassadors will be representing Mongolia in the Republic of Austria, the United States, Bulgaria, Italy, Kyrgyzstan, Laos, the Czech Republic, Hungary, and Singapore.
In our next story, we are highlighting a young man who has established his own furniture business at the age of 17.
Tumumai's story reminds us that nothing is impossible if you want it. He has learned carpentry, carving, and how to create Mongolian ornamentation, and at the young age of 17, he has established his own furniture factory. In addition, he has fully decorated his own home with the products he has created.
When I was in the 9th grade, the teacher gave us do-it-yourself task in the technology class. After that, I used to go to school every day, even during holidays, and I learned a lot. One of my brothers asked me to make a dowry chest, so I'm doing it now. As Lunar New Year approaches, I create wooden plates, and in my spare time, I'm making this dowry chest for his home.
Tumumai studies carpentry at the Vocational Training Center. He will graduate next year. In addition to his studies, he creates home furniture, carved chests, and wooden buckets with his teacher. He earns more than 1 million MNT per month from his carpentry projects.
The teacher recommended that I start working here. At first, I worked as an assistant, and I helped with the furniture assembly. Now I can assemble furniture myself, cut wood, and do all the work myself. I also bring students here and teach them carpentry. Yesterday, I cut this furniture, and today I'm doing the assembly.
I support my son a lot. When my son was a child, he was very careful and determined. I used to give him 5 or 10,000 Mongolian tugriks as pocket money. He used to buy wood so that he could make beautiful chests and sell them. Then he used to buy additional materials to make collection boxes for a shop and would buy more wood. I always tried to support my son, and later I told him to learn wood carving. He learned to make a small dowry chest with an engraving and gave it to me.
Engraving is a precious heritage of Mongolian fine arts. Tumumai has mastered it and has introduced the wonders of Mongolian carving through many of his works. He hopes to set an example for his peers, saying that opportunities can be found to succeed even if you live in the countryside.
Now let's take a look at the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Now let's take a look at our regular feature on sports. The Grand Slam of Paris was successfully held over 2 days. The 2024 Paris Olympic cycle has begun, and many of the best athletes for the upcoming Olympics have introduced themselves to the world. Mongolia sent a very young team to Paris and was able to win 3 bronze medals.
This year marks the 50th anniversary of the Paris Grand Slam, and the Olympic world champions and the French Olympic team, who have won the competition since 1971, have been honored on the tatami. Mongolia sent a very young team to Paris. Tohtwater, Altamagan and Kanghach were the only judokas who had participated in the Tokyo Olympics out of the 22 who participated in the competition. Hartloto in women's 52 kg, Erunbolt in men's 60 kg, and Boltarocher in men's 81 kg respectively won bronze medals. 5 athletes also placed in the top 8. Adyasurun, Tsitsingel and Inchimik, who are in the 20s, competed well in the men's and women's heavyweight divisions. Also, 26-year-old Erunbolt and 20-year-old Boltarocher won their first Grand Slam medals and made a name for themselves. The founders of judo showed their good results, supported their youth, and participated in this year's Grand Slam. The Japanese won 7 gold, 2 silver and 2 bronze medals, leading the team rankings. They are followed by Russia with 3 gold and 2 silver medals, Israel with 2 golds and 1 bronze medal, Portugal and Azerbaijan with 1 gold and 1 bronze medal each. Host France did not win a gold medal. A total of 56 athletes won 5 silver and 9 bronze medals at the Grand Slam, and 16 athletes were in the top 8. Mongolia was ranked 13th with 3 bronze medals and 5 top 8 places. The Baku Grand Slam in Azerbaijan will take place on November 5th.
Batgirl, nicknamed Storm, the first Mongolian athlete to sign a contract with the UFC, the world's largest mixed martial arts federation, had his 4th fight on Sunday. He extended his record to 3 knockouts in a row against Brandon Davis of the US.
Dana Batgirl had no desire to see the second round in his fight at UFC Vegas 40. The Mongolian bantamweight was on the attack early and often in his fight against Brandon Davis, including a series of overhand rights that seemingly couldn't miss. Dana took full advantage while rushing forward and blasting Davis with that same punch that sent the returning fighter down to the canvas. Dana continued to blitz him with punches until referee Herb Dean saw enough to step in and rescue Davis from further harm. The end came at just 2 minutes and 1 second in the opening round. It was an impressive showing from Dana, who had his Davis scouted perfectly as he consistently threw those same overhand shots throughout the exchanges. Dana was relentless as he continued to tag Davis with his overhand right until he finally delivered the blow that put his opponent down on the canvas, which then led to the finish. Following a decision loss in his octagon debut, Dana has now bounced back with 3 straight first-round knockout wins. None of those fights have been made it to the 4-minute mark of the opening round as Dana continues to climb the bantamweight ranks with each performance. There were several fights on the fight card, with some competitive bouts that could have made the bonus judging extremely interesting for Dana White and the UFC. Dana Batgirl was also awarded with the performance of the night and won a $50,000 bonus for his first-round knockout.
Now let's take a look at the weather forecast for the world's major cities. This is it for today. Thank you for staying with us. We'll see you tomorrow with more news and updates. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.